We may just have found out who Sting's retirement match is going to be against in the main event of AEW Dynamite Homecoming. And we're going to get into it in just a second. What's up, people? My name is Mekz, the WrestleManiac, if you will. Back again on Revolution Radio duty alongside my co-host, NK.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, man, the hour too sweet to be sour. Yeah, man, let's cover another, very interesting episode of Dynamite, man. I'm not going to say the feeling is back, but it feels organized. Dynamite feels organized. It feels like there's leading to places. It feels like there's a structure to the show these days. So, yeah.
What was your general thoughts of this particular show? This Homecoming?
Not as good as last week's, but some really high highs. But yeah, I don't think it was as good as last week's one. But I think it was a solid episode of Dynamite.
Yeah, I think it felt very house showy because we were kind of celebrating the Daily's Place stuff, and we were celebrating the life of Brody Lee and his impact in AEW. I think it started very well. It was bookended very well, and we had a very hot middle, and everything in between those 3 seconds felt house showish.
Yeah, the 8-man tag specifically.
Yeah. It was a very good show. We will touch on those 3 main angles, and then obviously just talk about some of the stuff that happened in between. Those 8-man tags specifically, if we just start from there, those were obviously, I guess, meant in some way to honor Brody Lee. He had his proteges in Vance, number 10, Preston Vance, and in one in the men's match, and he got the win with Brody's finisher. And then the women's one, we had Anna Jay, the other protege, and she got the win for the women's match as well. Bruv, how are they doing Brody Lee tributes without the Dark Order?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And these specific two, yes, they were the proteges. Members. They weren't original members, and they're like not the Dark Order now. Like the actual Dark Order are still together, and they weren't even on the show. Like,
it's a strange one. With Anna Jay, makes sense because she was the only female member, so that one's fine. But Preston, it's a bit like, huh? Because like with Anna Jay, I can still see they're trying to push her. Yeah, and obviously they gave her obviously Preston and Anna both got the wins, but with Anna, they're probably still setting up a TBS title situation. But with Preston, like, he's not even the most interesting member of his faction, his new faction LFI. So yeah, it feels weird to not put John Silver, Evil Uno. It's a weird one. I don't, especially John Silver. Like, John Silver is probably the objectively most over person in Dark Order consistently. So at least he should have. And John Silver had the most interactions with Brody with the whole paper thing. So, and he would have fit in an 8-man tag match like perfectly. Would have done. And I think he's a better wrestler than Preston Vance as well. Yeah. So yeah, that is strange. You that does make sense if you are doing a Brody Lee tribute. Like, yeah, somebody said on Twitter the only way, so TK should have said -1 book these matches, and then it would have made sense.
Yeah, like I watched the men's one, and then I was like, oh, Preston Vance got the win. That's a nice touch. And then I watched the women's one, Anna Jay, and then I think the penny dropped for me that, oh, this is all for Brody Lee. Then she got the win in her match, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, that's a nice touch. And like you said, I think they're still on a mission to get Anna Jay. They're probably showing her like, look at your classmates, Sky Blue and stuff. Look what they've got to you. What are you doing, sort of thing. Yeah. And then I thought, hold on. Are the Dark Order still together? I clocked, obviously they are, because they're doing being the Dark Order stuff on YouTube. I was like, have the Dark Order got heat or something? Like, why wouldn't they just be on this show if this is, kind of one of the selling points of this show?
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. Even just the de-emphasis of the Dark Order in general has
in
been kind of
general.
odd because it's been like obviously like they were a primary part, like they were main characters in that Hangman Page storyline. He left off, and fair enough, like cool. The year later they did the trios title, they got to the finals. So I was thinking, okay, cool. But then ever since then, I don't know, it's just been like, for example, it's weird that the Acclaimed got a trios title or tag team titles, and the Dark Order have really nothing to show for it. Like
Yeah.
it's a bit nuts to me. Like
The
they could
crowd
have,
are
yeah,
carrying the Acclaimed, man. The crowd is literally carrying the Acclaimed on their head
yeah, man.
because this title. I'm surprised it still hasn't just moved around as much as it has. Obviously, they've got the whole pink titles and stuff, and they even have like a bit of a key segment we can talk about on this show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was quite weird about the Dark Order. But we'll get started with the show. Like I said, for me, the beginning, middle, end, like these are the top parts of this entire show. And started so hot with Hangman Adam Page versus Claudio Castagnoli. Hangman, yeah, this death match has changed him. Like I don't know what it is. Whether he's lost, the disrespect in regards to Swerve going into his house, the disrespect that Swerve said he's coming for his spot and he's taking it. I don't know what it is. It's changed his character. I loved his lower third. I haven't really paid, early days AEW that they were killing it with the lower thirds, and I haven't really paid attention to it for a long time. Did you see what his lower third said by any chance?
Nah.
Habitually late for work. Because he always comes in at the last segment or just before with his suitcase. Yeah, this match of him and Claudio was crazy. Like it really was when AEW wrestling companies in general were fighting for their lives, fighting for attention, because wrestling in the pandemic era was so hard to consume because it's had to be made a different way. And it's almost like that. They're just putting on an absolute stonker in the middle of the match. Like it just crazy bumps that they were both taking, and just two strong men. There's hella power moves and stuff in between as well. Like, yeah, I really, really enjoyed this match. What did you think of it?
I thought this match was incredible, man. I mean, like we've always known how strong Claudio is, but he picked this when like Hangman Page did the moonsault. Claudio caught him.
Yeah.
Like, and Hangman Page is a big guy. Like he's a big guy. When this match was announced, this is exactly what I wanted. And it's just two men just going in the ring and wrestling. And this is kind of what that AEW's USP was in the beginning. Listen, we're going to give you these pay-per-view quality matches on Dynamite. Yeah, sure, this wouldn't be a headliner, but I'm sure if you advertise Hangman and Claudio on like maybe a Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, gave them 20 minutes, everyone would be like, yeah, this would be an amazing match. So we got this on Dynamite, and yeah, man, Hangman just, I think the thing about Hangman, he has direction. Like we know, I think for a long period of time last year, he was just floating. Even though he started off the year with the Moxley feud, okay, like that was cool. Then, the Blackpool Combat Club stuff, like he wasn't really the center point of that. It was more so Kenny. And then the Swerve feud, and then now, like obviously we'll get to what he did later on in the night. But he just has a renewed focus. And like I said, Hangman, he's the top to me, he's the top baby face of the company for a reason, man. He's a top star of the company for a reason. And now it makes it he's in the title picture, but now he feels like, yeah, I am one of the top stars of the company.
Yeah.
And Claudio, man, I mean, I've just been so impressed by his AEW run. I was very skeptical when they signed him. I was like, Claudio, what's he really gonna do here? Like, but he's one of the people. Like, I'd say for a long period, he's probably been one of the better WWE imports.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's been one of the better WWE imports, and they've had a lot. And again, maybe a lot of it is down to utilization and booking. But every time Claudio's been given a moment, he's taken advantage of it. There's never been a time I'd be like, get Claudio off my screen, or he's not deserving of being on TV. So yeah, man, I thought this was an excellent opener to the show.
Just on that with Claudio, do you think it's a thing where because of maybe age, his experience, he's more like he just want, again, almost like Danielson, I just want to go out and have the kind of matches I want to have, and where the likes of Amiro, Andrade, Malachi Black are probably still chasing that top spot because they're young, career. Do you think Claudio's almost content that I might not ever become world champion, but people can rely on me for an excellent match?
Yeah, I think it's also when he left WWE, he had been there for a long time. I wouldn't say he reached his ceiling, because I think some people still expected more of him, but he'd accomplished enough where Malachi Black barely did anything in WWE. Buddy Murphy was restricted to like the 205 division, and then was like a part of Seth's faction. Miro, hot and cold. So a lot of these guys came into AEW with a massive chip on their shoulder. Where I think Claudio came in and was like, I've had a decent run in WWE. I've been, US champion, tag team champion, intercontinental champion. I've been featured a lot. Yeah, it didn't really end the way I wanted it to be, but I don't sense that there's the massive chip on Claudio's shoulder. It's just more so like, okay, I did that. This is a new opportunity for me. Now I get to flex another part of my career that I haven't. Where a lot of these other guys maybe are coming into AEW is like, okay, this is the place where they're going to right the wrongs of WWE. These men are going to finally give me the push I never got there. So maybe that leads towards their frustration more than Claudio, because Claudio seems just happy. But a lot of these guys, rightfully or wrongfully so, they're like, I'm kind of disappointed by my run in AEW because it didn't meet the expectations that I had.
Yeah. I think it's definitely from a place of he knows, maybe even so much so that this is a way to get over as well, and maybe anything can follow. Like, it's like Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe probably didn't come into AEW with the intentions to become world champion, but good performances, reliable guy, locker room leader somewhat, and then you rise to the occasion, even if it may be short-lived or whatever. We're going to talk obviously more about Joe in later on, but this was a really strong opener. Big up everyone watching live. Hit the like button if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Navy in the chat, he says the feeling is coming back. Definitely, we're getting back to plan A of what this entire company, everything was supposed to be, with good shows and, like we said, hot matches like the one that opened last night's Dynamite. Following this, there was they played the package of Brody Lee celebrating his life, celebrating his impact in AEW, called him the greatest TNT champion ever, and that how he debuted in Daly's place, and he had his last match in Daly's place. So obviously, all the good feelings for that, which led us to the 8-man tag match. So it was Dustin Rhodes, Preston Vance, Orange Cassidy, and Adam Copeland versus the Mogul Embassy and Lance Archer. Pretty good match. I think it was just like here, there, and everywhere. Lance Archer was kind of given the cold shoulder by the Mogul Embassy guys early doors. I think everyone got their stuff in pretty much. Orange Cassidy was doing a spot where he was repeatedly trying to give these guys like 10 times the size of him choke slams until he eventually got one off on Khan, and the crowd popped big for that. A really cool, fun match. Like we said earlier, Preston Vance got the win with I think it was a spinning lariat like Brody Lee does, and he got the win, and he kind of got heralded up as, like we say, one of Brody Lee's first proteges and stuff. How did you find this match?
Yeah, I thought this match was fine. There was, I don't really see this leading to a push for Preston Vance. It was weird seeing Adam Copeland there. I was like, oh shit, Adam Copeland. So I guess they're keeping him on TV. Obviously, I think with the Christian feud, I think that's done for now. So I'm curious to see where they use him. Obviously, still early in the year, and Revolution's all the way in March. So I know he's going to be on the card, but with Preston Vance, I kind of just want to see. They've been doing the LFI segments a lot, and I'm like, okay, like time to shoot with these segments now. Now it's time for these. And I think LFI are prime. I mean, I'd say a lot of teams are prime for the trios titles because right now Acclaimed aren't doing much with them. I think it's a bigger downgrade than House of Black because at least House of Black had that like they were defending the titles regularly with the House of Black rules and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And the Acclaimed aren't doing much, but I guess it's yeah, it was a decent match. It was a decent match. I like the obviously finisher spots at the end. 8-man tags are like chaotic, but they're fun. And there's guys I hadn't seen on TV in a while, like Lance Archer. So yeah, I mean, it was, and you know what? Just seeing Lance Archer in Daly's place, I was like, yeah, this was the place where because he debuted at Daly's place as
Yeah.
well for the TNT tournament, and his most prominent run was Daly's place. So it was interesting to see. Yeah, you kind of made your name here. So yeah.
A lot of man, they had that same kind of bar for a lot of men and women that appeared on the show.
Yeah,
They made their debut here. They had their first match here. When Swerve came out, it was he's never been to Daly's place before. So yeah, there's a lot of good ties, man. Like honestly, that place it gave me good feels. I wish they done it like the staging of how it was.
Yeah,
like since they've left there and come back there, they always do it like this one portal thing from the side. But yeah, I probably want that original feeling. Anafi says here in the chat, big up Anafi, I want to see more of Lance Archer. I've given up hope.
Yeah, it's not happening, man. It's not happening. It's just one of those things. It's like, bruv, it is what it is. Like, unfortunately, do you? Because I know the suggestion a lot of the time is when a guy's not doing more in AEW, goes to WWE. But I think the issue would be better in WWE. I think he'd be featured more, but I still think there'd be a ceiling for him over there.
I agree.
I think
he ain't gonna go to world. He ain't gonna become
I still feel like I feel like maybe they'd use him more, but at best he'd be like a glorified Braun Strowman.
Yeah, a Braun Strowman that can work.
Yeah.
I think he maybe lacks personality, or at least hasn't really had the opportunity to show that. In New Japan, he was awesome. When he signed for AEW, I was really excited. Like we mentioned, he had world title matches, TNT title matches, just nothing. And I call Dominic Dijakovic in NXT. I call him the perennial loser because he goes and has these big matches. He never wins any of them. It's just like we can trust this guy, and it's Lance Archer. It's the same thing. Like they always do tend to get a really nice spot. People respect what they can do, but
they never win the big one. Yeah,
they never win the big one. Yeah.
Would you rewrite history? Because I remember, like at the time, people were like, Cody shouldn't have won the TNT title. Now we know what came as a result of Cody winning TNT title. We wouldn't have gotten Eddie Kingston. We wouldn't have gotten so many things. But would you have rewritten history to make Lance Archer the first TNT champion?
No. I think Cody needed to win that, especially after he blackballed himself to not win the world title. He needed to win that. Him winning it done a lot for, like you said, the Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, even the great match with Lance Archer. He had a match with Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Brody Lee, without Cody taking that mantle the first time. We don't get all of this stuff, and maybe not some of these signees and stuff. So it happened how it had to happen. In hindsight, would have a Lance Archer title run for a new title that they're trying to get over. Would it have looked good? I don't know. It might have just reverted to too many squash matches. We become disinterested without much character. Miro basically killed guys the same way, but Miro's character was there, sort of thing. So it's a bit of a difficult one for him, and maybe he's content with this position, doing both. But now there's no New Japan Strong TV. I don't know what else he's doing with his time, to be honest.
And the thing is, he's too, like, I wouldn't say he's too old to be doing indies, but he's been there and done that. So it's like you can't even begrudge him for saying that. Nah, that's not really a part of my career anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So exactly. I don't know.
Interesting one.
Continental Classic maybe next year. Maybe just throw him in a Continental Classic next year, because obviously Brody King filled the big man role amazingly, and Lance Archer in the Continental Classic next year. Oh, this
That's
year,
true.
sorry.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be like a good spot for him.
Yeah, that could be a really good spot for him, to be fair. Let's move on backstage with the remarkable Renee Paquette, as they call her. You had Bullet Club Gold. They were saying that they want a title shot at the trios titles. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn come out, and they're basically saying, look, forget all this, you want the trios title stuff, let's form this alliance. I think Anthony Bowens, what did he coin it? Bang Bang Pink Gang,
Yeah.
something along those lines. What's my man's name? Austin Gunn. He's really seeming to buy into this, forming this alliance. I think this is their annual long-term early start for the Blood and Guts and the Anarchy in the arenas and stuff like that, going up against Undisputed Kingdom. That is, I think that's probably what we're seeing here. What did you think of this segment?
It was okay. Wow, it was okay. Bullet Club Gold challenges for the trios belts. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm okay with that. It doesn't fill me with much excitement. But I'm okay with it. I don't want to seem like I'm a acclaimed hater. I just want the belts off them, man. Even them feuding with Undisputed Kingdom. Like when it was first, like when Bullet Club Gold came out to fight Undisputed Kingdom, I was like, I'm interested. When the Acclaimed got involved, I was like, makes narrative sense, but I'm less interested. But obviously, we've got to make up the numbers. I guess, but I want to see Bullet Club Gold back as heels. Right now, they're obviously like their faces compared to Undisputed Kingdom, but I want them to be back as heels. Because I think that's just what it works. I don't buy Jay White as a babyface. That's just me. I just don't buy Jay White as a babyface right now.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was gonna get at. I feel we're killing Jay White, man. Like, Jay White shouldn't. Okay, maybe killing's a bit too strong, but I feel like we built him up to the point of a world title, and that was a whole debacle in itself. But we're not now. He's like moving down the card now. Not even like staying in a similar-ish position. This feels like he's moving down in the card, maybe because the Acclaimed are involved.
Yeah, I think it's primarily the Acclaim, because if you present Undisputed Kingdom versus Bullet Club Gold, I don't think anyone complains about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the Acclaim's involvement that just muddies the waters. And that's why I want Jay White to form this alliance, but then get them out of there. Like once this Undisputed Kingdom stuff is over, and the Acclaim should be taking the pin in that feud. I mean, the Acclaim should be taking the pin in that feud, because I don't think Undisputed Kingdom are going to lose any matches anytime soon. Once that happens, yeah, just grab the trios belts off them. And that is a downward move from the world title to the trios belts, but it's something to keep them hot, I guess.
Starting to keep them occupied.
Just starting to keep them occupied. I think Jay White it's weird. It's like it's a perpetual with Jay White. He's cold, they heat him up, they cool him down. So it's like his debut wasn't great. They heated him up with Bullet Club Gold with the tag team title stuff. Then okay, that stuff propelled him to like the world title stuff. World title stuff kind of cooled him down, and his performance in the Continental Classic kind of restored a bit, like not too much, but restored a bit of faith in him back again. And then now it's just like, okay, what are we doing with the Acclaimed specifically? So it's a weird one with him.
Yeah, it's funny. Cool. Back in the ring, we had Samoa Joe. He comes out, big ovation. He's saying, the crowd are screaming, "Thank you, Joe, and all this kind of stuff. He lays out like a referendum, like no one can just get a title shot anyhow, willy-nilly. You can't go to Twitter and complain and ask for title shots and stuff. They will be issued by the championship committee, I believe he called it.
Yeah.
This was great. Even if the championship committee is just Joe, maybe there is a committee, who knows? But like this was really good. And then Swerve came out with the whole of Mogul Embassy. They looked great. He gets into the ring. Swerve basically says to him, "Look, I don't know if you know about me," sort of thing. go check out the match I had with Hangman Page. It wasn't personal with him. This isn't personal with you. I just want the world title. Lays his claim very, very clearly of what he's here for. We saw Hangman come out as well. Hangman came out and he obviously put over the fact that he had a decent year in 2023, but there was no gold at the end of it. There's no AEW world title at the end of it. This is, I guess, the world title scene right now. This is what we're looking at. I think people speculated pretty early, maybe as of last week, that it's probably going to be a triple threat at Revolution for these for this title. Swerve, when Hangman came and was cutting his promo, I don't know if Swerve purposely done this. He almost looked like he was like he sold a bit of fear.
Yeah,
like I beat this guy, but I respect you still because you've done your thing. Like I know what you're on, sort of thing, innit? So Nana was telling Swerve that it's not the time. Let's step to one side. They all kind of left the ring. Hangman's left in there. Hangman then eventually leaves the ring. Joe's doing his final poses and stuff. Hook's music hits. Crowd goes crazy. Joe looks up. I wish they'd done this in the other order. I wish Joe was doing all his posing and looked up and saw Hook's signal in the air and then his music hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hook's music had already hit. And then he looked up, saw the signal. Hook came out. He stood face to face with Joe. Didn't shift or anything like that. Yeah, he's basically said 1 week, pointing at the title. We found out afterwards Tony Khan made the match. So yeah, this is the title scene, and I guess in the meantime we get Hook next week, but Hangman and Swerve is surrounding the title. What did you think about all this?
I absolutely loved it, man. I really I've always said this, the world title should be the most important thing to these wrestlers, and it was like Joe's promo in the beginning, just about I've got the belt. I'm more than willing to accept challenges, but you must be credentialed. Like you must show me your CV. And just even Joe's presence as champion, it feels right. Like seeing Joe as a champion in 2024, I was like, it was always felt like a pipe dream, but just seeing him, he feels like a champion. And now it's like we're lining up challengers for the love of the game. Somebody like I'm sure these storylines will be developed leading up to the pay-per-view, but the most important thing, their primary objective for all of these wrestlers is I want to be champion. And the heavy, I mean, I don't suspect Joe will be champion for very long, but just seeing Hangman and Swerve, man, there's no one on those two's level at the moment. And just in terms of like momentum and heat, like they feel like the biggest deals in AEW, specifically Swerve. And Hangman's obviously like he's always in the mix, but Swerve, like we've always said before, he's gonna be champion someday, but he just feels undeniable. He just feels absolutely undeniable. And you know what? Hook, like even though we know this is like our first title defense for Joe, Hook's probably not gonna win. But I even like the fact that Hook, we've always said about Hook, like graduating from these squash matches. Yeah, it's time. Like wrestle Samoa Joe, and if he puts on a good showing against Samoa Joe, then by all means, like we could see something good from Hook. And the main thing I'm happy about Joe being champion is it finally at least justifies him dropping the TV title the way he did. Because we always said if Joe doesn't become champion, him dropping the ROH TV titles for naught. But now he's got the world champion, and even just him coming out in a suit, I'm just like, yeah, man, this is, again, not to put fingers at WWE, but you could have had this, man. You could have had this.
Yeah. I mean, WWE missed a massive trick when they redone Joe and Brock Lesnar, and there's no one better for Joe to beat with everything, Joe's bravado and everything, than Brock Lesnar. Like when you would say, especially Joe, that was what 2017 or so. So Joe was about 7 years younger than now. Like, yeah, that would have been great. And missed opportunity really.
Yeah.
But this was really good, like you said, from the aura that Swerve carries. Like just the fact that these men come out Mogul Embassy, and it's like they stand to the side to let this guy walk through the middle of them, slow paced. One of them's jiving and dancing in the background. The others are just big, huge men. Like they just come down, and it's just like it just looks proper. Like it's almost like he's the champion already without the title sort of thing. Like it's so good, and Hangman looks like a super credible, unhinged but credible type challenger as well. Joe just looks like home. It just fits. Like the title, it just suits him. Like big up Glody, he says here, only the second week of Joe's reign and the title is already more prestigious. It is.
Yeah, it is. It feels it. And I can't lie, now the title with the black strap is the best title. I like it's I like the burgundy was cool, but with the black, it just makes sense.
Yeah, it looks proper.
Yeah,
it looks proper. So I didn't notice on the title. Yeah, remember like the original version, they used to have the nameplate in the middle.
Yeah,
they've now got the side plate thing, like WWE.
Side plate thing, yeah.
Wait, I don't even know when they changed that.
Yeah, I don't know when they changed that. It's a very, but I just prefer the title plate in the name should be in the middle of the title. But if that's the only if this is because people have been speculating of a new title. If this is the new title, then I'm okay with it.
It's
like,
fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, because that's like we say, it's just a little subtle change. But yeah, that's a really good segment in the middle of the show. We had backstage Tony Storm with Renee Paquette. She was asked, has she seen Dynamite last week with Deonna Purrazzo making her debut and calling her out? Mariah May jumped in and was like, "Oh, did you watch my match?" And Tony Storm says, "What? Oh, did you do an arm drag?" She said something like that. So she never watched it. She gave Mariah May a chocolate to shut her up, basically. She said that we signed the hottest free agent. She still thinks it's this Wendy Rickner. She said it's Deonna Purrazzo. She like purposely missaid like Donna Paluzzo or something like that. No selling Deonna Purrazzo's challenge and all of that kind of stuff. As they kind of introduce her to Tony Storm. The next match we had on the show was another, I guess, Daily's Place. What do I call it? Testimonial. Ricky Starks versus Sammy Guevara. You can see when Sammy Guevara came out, he was quite kind of choked up. I could see like he was like, "Oh wow, like this place," sort of thing, which was cool. They spoke about both guys' beginnings in Daily's Place, how Ricky Starks answered Cody's TNT title open challenge, how Sammy Guevara was here from day one and all that kind of stuff. He found his wife in Daily's Place. They forgot to mention that he proposed to his old fiance there as well. But these guys had a good match, but there was something about the finish that I don't know if it was Ricky Starks hurt, or did they just call it audible to lock it off, or what? Something just didn't seem right there.
I felt like something felt off about the match in general. There was no fire in the match. It just felt like move. And I don't know. I'm not gonna like. It wasn't a bad match because both of these guys are good wrestlers, but it just felt there was no heat to it. There was no heat. It was like, okay, this was like it felt like just a showcase match where it was like, it's weird because I don't know. I'm keeping my eye on Sammy this year. I really want him to do well. I'm just keeping my eye on him this year because it's like I think I'm not gonna say this is a make or break year, but this is the year where I think Sammy needs to like come out of his show and really just like shock the world and just like do something of like magnitude. It doesn't have to be a title, just like make yourself undeniable because it's like football. You can only be a young player for so long. You can only be a young wrestler for so long. Like youth is a depreciating asset. Yeah, like you're young, but then you're not gonna be young forever. And
forever.
you've been in the company 5 years. You're a veteran now. Like you're approaching veteran territory in
It's true.
AEW. So like we can't like potential is good, but it has to be realized. And I feel like Sammy Guevara has been in the unrealized potential category for long, but we got to see you realize your potential, man.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara's walking around in circles.
Yeah.
Whilst others are on like some type of linear climb, and obviously like nothing's ever linear, they might still come to a standstill and then start up
Yeah.
again, or whatever the case may be, or drop down and climb up again. Sammy Guevara is literally, as they say, spinning his wheels. Like there's nothing. It's like one step forward, two steps back for Sammy. Um, it's not his fault. Obviously, he's been lumped into this tag team now with Jericho, and Jericho's getting hella heat from what he done, and we'll continue to talk about that segment in a second. What he may have done or may not have done. Now Sammy's kind of paying the price for that as well. But it's just, why are we even back with Jericho in the first place? Like, how haven't we moved on from this friendship, this partnership, this tag team? Like, it's just very, very same old, like, for his entire career in AEW so far. He wins the match. Ricky Starks is on the canvas. Like I said, something doesn't quite look right, but nothing's been reported. He goes in to shake Ricky Starks' hand. Ricky Starks is shaking his hand as well, but he's kind of just holding onto his hand until Big Bill can make his way to the ring, takes out Sammy Guevara from behind. And then Chris Jericho's music hits, but it doesn't go off. And they are doing this brawl because I guess these guys have a street fight at Battle of the Belts on the weekend, so they're doing a brawl all around the ring. I thought the brawl was good. I thought the brawl looked, intense somewhat compared to the match we had just seen, though. And I guess as a way to try to drown out potential boos, although I don't think I heard any, they just kept Chris Jericho's music on the entire brawl, which I thought was, I guess, a smart move if you want to do that. However, how do you get around it at Battle of the Belts then? Are you going to play the whole music for the whole match, or what?
They don't. It's Battle of the. There's a reason why it's on Battle of the Belts.
It's on Battle of the Belts.
There's a reason why it's on Battle of the Belts.
I think no one watches it. Yeah,
like Chris Jericho being on Battle of the Belts is nuts. They wouldn't remember this match. Well, obviously the original match was supposed to feature Kenny Omega fighting for the titles, and that was a pay-per-view match. Cool. They scrapped that match because of Kenny Omega being injured.
Yeah.
You don't go from being a pay-per-view caliber feud to Battle in the Belts. You may go from pay-per-view to Dynamite.
Yeah.
But going to Battle in the Belts is clearly okay. We're getting heat for this. Chris, PR-wise, it might not be great to have Chris Jericho on our flagship show, but we need to wrap up this story somehow. Cool, let's put him on Battle of the Belts because that show is just there to die. And that's what the match is, and I'm sure the feud will be concluded there, and we won't see Jericho for a while. I think by Revolution, he'll be back. I don't think it doesn't seem like there's going to be any like long-term punishment for Jericho based on whatever, but I think he'll be back by Revolution. But I think right now this is just the way to get heat off Jericho. Which, in regards to Sammy Guevara again, if Jericho is away from TV, it might be an opportunity for him for the umpteenth time to try get over on his own.
Will they trust him though, is the question, because that seems to be the issue for me. They clearly just can't trust him on his own, whether to get over, do something meaningful. It's always join a group, join a tag team, join a gang.
Who do you think is available right now that could like push Sammy Guevara to a great feud? Because obviously it has to be somebody that can take a loss. That can really just bring out the fire, and because I think MJF Sammy Guevara is a great pairing, but MJF is off, and MJF probably wouldn't lose. A lot of the upper echelon guys, Christian
that he could beat. and be
I can't
TNT
be
champion. This is a
again. No,
thing.
yeah, I just remembered. No,
Edge is a shout because Edge is doing this open challenge thing, which I don't know what that's about. Maybe Sammy Guevara has an open challenge, answers the open challenge, and beats Edge. I'm sure that could help him some way, somehow. I mean, but I don't know where they would go from there.
Do you think they trust Sammy to beat Adam Copeland?
I mean, I would believe it. It's believable, I think, to an
Yeah.
extent. But it's just, what's the follow up? Why did he beat him? Like, what's the feud?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's because and again it goes to the problem of like Sammy not graduating, because it's like you can fixture a Darby Allin in top feuds, no problem. Like we can fixture an MJF in top feuds. Jungle Boy remains to be seen, but he was on that upward trajectory before he was put off the TV.
At the very least, they trusted Jungle Boy.
Yeah. With Sammy, it's like, again, like, it just remains to be seen, because he's a super talented person, super talented wrestler. But
no, he wasn't. I was just gonna say, when he won the TNT title, because that's obviously a display of trust. He was in JAS though, wasn't he? Or in a circle.
He was, so officially he was, but remember, he'd kind of disassociated. He's like, oh, like, you man are having family drama, I'm gonna be doing my own thing. And he was largely on his own for his TNT title reign.
Yeah, that's true. It's very interesting with Sammy Guevara. Like, a lot of potential, but the only thing going up is his age. And there's no movement in terms of him on the card. Like, it's a weird one. There's probably even still more anticipation at this point for Jungle Boy to just return than people being invested in anything Sammy Guevara is doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a slippery slope for him right now. Moving on, we had the ladies' 8-woman tag match. Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa going up against Saraya, Ruby Soho, Sky Blue, and the TBS champion Julia Hart. Harley Cameron was ringside with the Outcast ladies. Again, just a good, fun, house showy type match between these guys. We saw a little bit outside the ring with Chris Statlander spotting the sign that says Chris Statlander's great, that you should be managed by Stokely Hathaway or whatever the case is, and behind the sign was Stokely Hathaway. I wouldn't mind. I guess his whole thing is that he can make Chris Statlander a world champion. I wouldn't mind him. I wouldn't mind an attempt. Like, I wouldn't mind a little main event push for Chris Statlander. I think the division is strengthening up a bit too much now. Like, she's a good wrestler. I don't think there's anything wrong with her wrestling. Character-wise, she might need a bit more, but then Tony Storm is kind of pushing out the bar for the women in terms of the character stuff as well. So a lot of them might need to pull up their socks when it comes to that particular department. But at least to be a contender to world champions, I think, with Stokely at her side, Chris Statlander could be a very good contender. But yeah, in general, like I say, really good match. We had Anna Jay get the win here. Who is funny, Preston Vance and Anna Jay are currently like tweener / heels on TV, but they're both on like the face teams of their tag match. But yeah, anything you want to add in regard to this match?
Obviously, I think Britt Baker's injured, but it's funny seeing like a Daily's Place like Heritage show without Britt Baker.
Yeah.
This is where, like, obviously she had her iconic match with like Thunder Rosa. And even Thunder Rosa's back now, but we don't know where she factors in the division yet. Like, she's back, but where is she back?
I don't think she's back per se. We're seeing her, she's there. She's been in 2 tag matches. Yeah. I think that's enough to say she's not all there yet. Maybe she's got a bit of ring rust that she needs to shake that off. This is someone that left as an AEW Women's Champion. They stripped her as a title. Why have you come back as just some, fourth wheel in a tag
Yeah.
teams, and just it's very odd. So I think the division has moved on since she's been there last, but it hasn't moved on like that. That she hasn't got like
A
she can't
place.
contend at
Yeah.
least. Yeah, she
Yeah.
hasn't got lost her place per se. So I definitely think that maybe she's probably still working with injuries or just having a slow kind of getting back into it sort of thing.
Yeah, because I definitely want to like that. There's a lot in it. There's a lot. And I don't know like how you balance all of these women, because now it's a question of like before. Remember the early days Dynamite used to be there's not enough, but now there's more than enough. It's like now
Yeah.
you've got to balance all of these women, because obviously Julia Hart just won the TBS title. Tony Storm's doing amazing things with the AEW women's title. You got to find a way to keep these other women hot, and that's how you create other feuds outside of the title. Like you've got to which is what they did with Britt Baker, which is Britt Baker's feud. Like Britt Baker's ascendancy didn't involve the title for a long period of time. But they kept her hot, and you gotta find interesting ways to keep these women. And then also like forget Mercedes. Athena's Ring of Honor title run will be coming to an end soon, preferably this year. And then now, like factoring her back into the division is like, because if it was up to me, I'd have her take the title off Tony. But yeah,
I hear it. Yeah, she probably drops that title at Supercard of Honor. If they do that around WrestleMania times, April. So yeah, what's next for her, because she can't really stay in Ring of Honor after this terrific run.
Yeah,
that would be a complete waste. People would argue what's happening now has been a waste of her, that she could have done all of this for you on AEW TV, but it would be a complete waste if she was to drop the title and stay there. So yeah, it's a very good playing field to have. How we utilize all of these pieces is TK's job to figure out. But yeah, there's more than enough top quality contenders. Big up Jay. Jay says, when did Anna Jay have a face turn, or did I miss something? Yeah, we were just saying this. It just seems like
it's just Daly's Brody Lee heritage. That's it. It's just Brody Lee.
Yeah.
We're not gonna like Daly's place. We're not gonna boo you in Brody Lee town. So for tonight, you're a face, but then back to being heel, I guess. But she's always had a rivalry with Julia Hart. So I guess yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. The same with Preston Vance, like we were saying. So yeah, that was the women's match. We then had Wheeler Utah. He was cutting a promo, like a recorded vignette, at Eddie Kingston, and he challenged Eddie Kingston to the Continental Crown at Rampage. Yeah, man, we said this last week. I think you have this incredible tournament. You then have the number one contenders match with guys that you're just thinking they couldn't really, respectfully, they couldn't clean the boots of anyone that was in that tournament and the performances that took place in that tournament. Trent wins. I watched, was it Collision? They had the match, Eddie Kingston versus Trent. Really good match, to be completely fair to Trent. Really good match. But Trent wins. And now Wheeler Yuta is calling out Eddie Kingston. Wheeler Yuta is excellent, but I'm sorry, this isn't what I signed up for after that tournament. That incredible tournament. This immediately feels mid-card. Like, not just Wheeler, like I said, Trent Beretta, even the names that was in that number one contenders match for Trent last week. I just don't feel like the shininess that we put on this whole tournament, after moaning and complaining how they were doing it and 3 belts and now a new belt. It's just like they try to repackage the Ring of Honor title or some other kind of mid-card situation. How do you feel about, again, this isn't any knock on Wheeler Yuta, but I just don't feel we're giving this belt the best of like introductions.
It's funny because the most credible defender or the most credible challenger isn't even on AEW. It's Gabe Kidd. That's the most
big facts. Yeah.
The most credible
Big
challenger
facts.
is Gabe Kidd. You know what I'm saying? And this belt, I'm not gonna complain too much because I feel like, especially right now, like AEW and New Japan's relationship, like guys are over in Japan. So I'm not gonna say, but this could have been an opportunity, and maybe down the line, see some New Japan stars compete for the title. You've already set precedent with Gabe Kidd. You know, have that more. But in terms of the AEW talent, it's a weird, it's a strange one because you've immediately made the title like a mid-card championship. I'm trying to suggest some names that can take a loss, but a lot of the names I'm thinking of are already in programs. So I was thinking like a Malachi Black, but he's in a program with FTR. Or I was thinking names of that ilk where they're credible names that can afford to take a loss. Because I was gonna say Roosh, but Roosh can't afford to take. I don't want Roosh losing.
Yeah, I don't want Roosh to lose.
I don't want Roosh losing. So I know they've got a stats roster. I know somebody in the comments can probably think of some names, and this doesn't excuse the fact that the title feels mid card. It does feel mid card. I'm just thinking, what names could they put to make the title feel good? Because you don't have to put a Moxie, you don't have to put all of these, man. But for example, Gabe Kidd, I wouldn't say is like a top tier New Japan, but he feels like somebody that's worthy of the title.
Yeah.
I'm like a lot of the guys I'm thinking he already facing the Continental Classic, but Wheeler Utah and Trent Beretta. If you had started with Wheeler Utah, I would have been more receptive to that than Trent Beretta. But now you went from Trent Beretta and Wheeler Utah. It's like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Jay suggests here Hobbs and Jay White. I don't think either of them should be losing. I wasn't even happy that Sting pinged Hobbs last night, but I get it because it's what we're doing for Sting, innit, on the way out. And I definitely don't want Sting to ping.
Definitely not Jay White.
White. I don't think Jay White should be taking you. But if you had to pick someone like right now that Eddie Kingston should defend this title against at Revolution, who would you pick? In this ilk of name you're saying, upper mid carders that we could believe could actually take the title from him, but Eddie Kingston is gonna retain. Who would you pick as that match?
I honestly would have said Malachi. I know he's tied up with FTR, but I think Malachi Black would have been perfect.
Malachi Black, yeah.
I mean, Malachi Black would have been like he's the name that commands credibility. Or would you do King Miro? I would have done King Miro again.
So I've just said this. They said Miro in the chat. For him to lose, for Miro to lose to Eddie Kingston, I don't think Miro
to be fair, you could tell just because remember Miro beat Eddie Kingston for as a TNT title defense. So to protect Miro, you could be like, oh, the score's 1-1.
That's true.
In the feuds, it's almost like okay, they've got one apiece. So it wouldn't be like okay, like you, and maybe you could set up a third match down the line where Miro, beats Eddie Kingston, not for the title, but just in another iteration of match.
Miro could be a good shout, to be fair, because even like that's one way to do it. Like you just said, the other way I've just came to my head is that it seems unfortunately that CJ Perry's been hospitalized because of this infection thing she has. So even they could do something like Miro goes after the title, but he loses to push the agenda more that CJ, look, you need me by your side, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If she's, one day she gets fit and well to return. But yeah, or even just like you said, him versus Eddie Kingston, even up, their situation from before. Yeah, that's the kind of ilk of name that we need for Eddie Kingston to feel more important, for the title to feel more important. Because these names, like, we just don't necessarily believe it could happen.
No.
Cool, but yeah, it's we'll see. He's got, obviously, like we're saying, Wheeler Utah on Friday, Gabe Kidd at Battle in the Valley on Saturday. So that should be an interesting weekend for him. We had Brian Keith versus Roderick Strong next. the Undisputed Kingdom, the presentation. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. This was as good as a match under 5 minutes as you're gonna get from these two. It was quick, hard hitting. Roderick Strong gets the win with an end of heartache. Big up Brian Keith. He's been getting a lot of spotlights, recently. I'm expecting imminently to see an All Elite graphic with Brian Keith on it. We got Queen Aminata the other day. Following this, we had pretty much the same promo as Undisputed Kingdom cut last week on their arrival, just pretty much saying that Adam Cole, I think, made a real point of saying that I've got respect for everyone here after, I guess, the whole Wardlow fiasco from last week. And then reiterated that these men have the tag team titles. Roderick Strong's going to go after the international title. And then I think he said, then with Wardlow, we are going to go after the AEW World Championship and stuff, something that he deserves. And, he's with a group of people that respect him and stuff like that. Wardlow's still not looking, moved or anything like that. He looks very casual. He looked like, when you just put on anything that you're wearing, that you're going to the shop to just buy something from the corner shop. He looked super casual when the rest of them looked like, all, I guess, uniform sort of thing. This was pretty much it. Again, just laying out this prophecy that they want to achieve. No Bullet Club Gold or Acclaimed coming to harass them this time round. That was it. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I thought it was a fine segment. Obviously, I just want to see these guys, do what they set out to do. Like right now, the one I'm waiting on is Roderick Strong with that all international title. I don't know if you give it to me at Revolution or Double or Nothing, but it must happen this year. Like it must. Like we cannot stall, especially with Orange Cassidy's reign not doing much anyways. I think Roderick Strong being the first person to kind of start. I mean, technically the Kingdom started it, but because they've got the Ring of Honor tag team titles. But Roderick Strong being like the one to really the first person since the faction's been announced to win a title will be the way to kick things off. Because obviously Adam Cole's been out for a while. I don't see Wardlow entering the title picture soon. So Roderick Strong going on TV on a weekly basis, title defenses makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
man. It makes perfect sense.
Doing Roderick Strong,
just doing Roderick Strong. No more neck brace.
Yeah.
Just what I'm saying.
Yeah. The thing is, again, I feel they should do it all in line once Adam Cole is back. So it's like we get the picture of all of them with the gold, but there's just no telling how long that's gonna be.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've said it now. You have to go. You have to
go and do it, man. You know what I'm saying? The Kingdom have got their stuff together. So it's like, yeah. I hope they defend it more though. The Kingdom. So I do like the tradition MJF did start of them defending the titles on the pre-show. So if you put the RH titles on the pre-show, keep that spot for the Kingdom. I wouldn't mind that. And then maybe a Dynamite defense here and there, but like again, they want to de-emphasize the RH titles on TV, which is okay, fairs. But have the Kingdom retain that spot. I don't want it to be like, oh, Revolution comes and then we get some Danhausen and Trent Beretta match on the pre-show, but we don't. But we don't get the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. That to me would be nonsense.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw some people talking about how these guys are obviously when they had the mask on, they were menacing. They were backstage beating up guys. Now they're pretty much just all kind of falling in line and more lax. Is that an issue?
No, because they had a clear objective. The objective was to rattle MJF. MJF is no longer here to rattle. So it's like, okay, well, we're wrestlers, so business as usual. The objective isn't to rattle MJF anymore. It's like the thing with Hangman Page and all these other guys was like, we're using you as means to get to MJF. We don't really care about you. We care about MJF. So I don't see it as a problem. And if we're keeping it honest, even undisputed era, Amazing Faction, menacing was not what they were.
Yeah,
Undisputed era were not menacing. They were a very cool faction. And the Undisputed Kingdom thus far have that same feeling. So the most important thing is them doing what they said they would, winning titles, and being on TV. So yeah,
hope they get there. Hope they get there. And in fact, last point on this year, I guess they're giving Roderick Strong. They're building him up somewhat, and then he's going to get to Orange Cassidy. But Orange Cassidy is just handing out title shots here, there, and everywhere. Is there a need to build up Roderick Strong almost? Roderick Strong can just go and tell Orange Cassidy, I want a title shot, and Orange Cassidy's going to say yes.
Yeah, to rehab him from the character he just had.
Yeah, I guess so.
To rehab him from the character, he was having matches, but this is kind of like, okay, reintroduction of Roderick Strong, give him some matches. And I feel like we want to build Roderick Strong to the point where it's like we're begging for him to win the title now.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, like he's won enough matches. Roderick Strong's undeniable on TV. He has to face Orange Cassidy.
Cool. Backstage we had Deonna Purrazzo. She had an interview with Renee Paquette, and she's still, Renee Paquette's feeding back to her Toni Storm's reaction, and she said that she's gonna catch Toni Storm for that woman's title. Red Velvet comes into the picture. Red Velvet is kind of welcoming her and saying that she's got her debut match on Collision. Deonna Purrazzo said that I've got my debut match as well coming up, and that Red Velvet almost throws out the gauntlet to take her on. And she basically takes note of Red Velvet's stirring arm. So Deonna Purrazzo, with the technician she is, I'm probably sure we're going to see her put Red Velvet in some type of submission to get the win on the weekend. That match was announced. Jim Ross was on commentary for the main event. We had Sting and Darby Allin taken on Don Callis family members Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Good fun to kind of close off a feel-good show. We've seen Sting do a lot of these style matches over his tenure in AEW. I wasn't aware that Sting actually said that when he came to AEW, I don't want to have single matches.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either.
Yeah, that he purposely said, I actually really just want to have tags. So I guess that kind of makes sense. This match was a lot of fun, brawling out into the crowd and all around the ring area from the jump. They've found so many good ways over the last 2-3 years of making Sting look great with what he can work with and staying safe while doing it. We had the part where they kind of brawled up the little ramp that they had. Darby went climbing up, done the coffin drop off the top of that. I was praying that Takeshita caught him and just gave him a jab and suplex. Takeshita caught him to break his fall. But sold the coffin drop. For the finale, to wrap up the match, for the finish, we saw Powerhouse Hobbs take Sting across that little walkway in front of the stage that we could see, walked him down there, but as they reached the end of that walkway, Sting turned it round, Scorpion Death Drop through what was meant to be 2 tables. They only ever hit 1 table. Sting only ever one table. I've noticed this with all these flashes and stuff he does. There's always 2 tables to look after Sting, but he only ever hits 1. And they went through it. Sting kind of crawls to Powerhouse Hobbs, put his elbow and stuff across him, and 1, 2, 3. He's pinned Powerhouse Hobbs, so he maintains his record, which that's the whole point of this match. What they were trying to take Sting's perfect record, and Darby and Sting win the match. They get into the ring. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, waiting for them, and he asks Sting about who his final match in at Revolution is going to be against. And before he can answer, we hear the Young Bucks music hit. They come out. Nick Jackson dressed like Jesus Christ in white. Matt Jackson in black. They're both growing the dickhead Pratt twat mustaches. They guess they've answered the call. They're putting their name in the hat at the very least of who's gonna have Sting's last match, setting up, I guess, a tag team match, Young Bucks against Sting and Darby Allin. So NK, how did you feel about the match firstly, and then the Young Bucks answering this call?
Darby might be one of the greatest bumpers of all time. That bump he took when it was Takeshita and Raw Hobbs and they threw him and he started spinning
like a child. Like this.
It's when he started spinning in mid. I've never seen that.
Yeah,
I've never seen that. These Sting, like I said, we've said it before, but this has like been one of the best utilizations of a legend I've ever seen. Like it's so often it's either the legends are disrespected or legends are thrust into positions where they're taking time away from young talent. And Sting is neither. Sting is like I said, he's pretty much undefeated.
Yeah.
But also Sting is in a position where he's helped elevate, he's helped put shine on Darby, and the Sting and Darby pairing has just been excellent. But also, it's shown a different dynamic to Sting. Never did I think Sting is a hardcore wrestler, but in this run, he's a hardcore wrestler. He's a hardcore wrestler. I get scared every time Sting does one of these stunts, but he's fine. He's able to do it again. So this match was excellent. Obviously, my nitpick is that again, I remember professing last week, I wasn't a fan of this match being announced because I knew Hobbs would have to take the pin.
Yeah.
So that's like a detriment to the match because but the Young Bucks, man, the real is back, man. Listen, and it makes sense to cap off the Daily's Place era with the Young Bucks because they had their like iconic, a bunch of bulk of that iconic tag team title run in Daily's Place.
Yeah.
And listen, if there's a team that's gonna give like them their best match, it's the Young Bucks, man. And I know like the match is gonna be planned meticulously. The Bucks
probably started choreographing it already.
You think the table spot? We know Sting loves the table spots. The Young Bucks and Darby Allin, the possibilities are endless, and it's an accolade. And again, I think it reasserts Young Bucks in a prominent position. Retiring Sting, they're gonna win. It gives them necessary heat because I feel like the Young Bucks last year were kind of, again, they were doing trios activity, but we want the Young Bucks back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, the Young Bucks are part of the elite, but the Young Bucks are an entity of their own. I want to see why so many people, myself include them as one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And retiring Sting is just another thing I love about them, the way they kind of evolve, the way the suits they came out in. I said, "Oh, these were up to mischief." These are up to mischief. I can't lie. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited, man." And we can kind of speculate like what a Revolution card would be, but I think they said this match might be the main event of Revolution, Sting's retirement. I don't know.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
The only thing where I guess you want to do that is if, as we're predicting, Samoa Joe has a shorter reign and he's gonna drop that title to one of them other man in his match.
Yeah, but it's a tough one. And I love Samoa Joe in my top 10. If there's any champion you can get away with it with, it's kind of Joe.
Yeah, agreed.
It's kind of Joe. And it's the spectacle of like Sting retiring. I'm sure once like
Joe would get it.
Yeah, Joe would get it. And it's like, once Sting retires, you're gonna have a whole segment of probably hella former WCW stars coming out into the ring, the whole arena standing ovation. Like doing that as the second to last match on the card, and then said, "Oh, we got world title match next," kind of feels a bit. They're probably going to give Sting mad pyro as well, and this is probably like this is the last time I'm probably ever going to see him wrestle ever. Because I don't see Sting.
I'm not going that far yet because this other company just brought back TNA, so I don't know. You can never say never in wrestling, innit? Like he may just go and do a one-off there, just to I don't know. Maybe.
I think maybe an appearance, but wrestling, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not wrestling, maybe appearance.
Yeah, appearance. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the fact they brought back TNA, I'm just. Yeah, I won't commit to saying it, but yeah, this is it feels big. I did think that the Young Bucks. I was here scanning my brain for like history between them in AEW and stuff like that. Don't think there's anything. I think it's literally like you said. Like, most importantly, we know that they're trying to turn their characters. They're trying to turn heel in it.
Yeah,
this is a very easy way to cement a heel turn. Like them retiring Sting. The crowd not being happy about it. Maybe something heinous happens in the match somewhat.
Somebody said they should recreate the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair spot.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Somebody said, and I'm like, that is something the Bucks. They will do something like that. They will.
I swear, what match did they do that in? They've done that in the AEW match already.
No, they did it against Christopher Daniels.
Yeah,
they did against Christopher Daniels, but somebody said they should do it, but Sting should no sell it like he usually does, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I did think we were gonna get, and maybe a story where like Sting wanted Darby, like singles, and the Darby's like rejecting it for the longest time, but then they eventually get there.
Yeah,
but yeah, maybe he just wants to go out with the tag match.
I think them two retiring as a team makes sense, even though I did want to see a singles match, but also maybe Sting doesn't trust in his ability to see through a singles match, which is fair enough.
I think that's what it is. And if you know yourself and what you can do in your age, that's fine. Better than going out and doing some extra stuff and failing at it. So
I think they did face off against each other at the first Forbidden Door. It was a trios match. It was Young Bucks had joined with ELP and I think the Young Bucks were with ELP, and then it was like Shingo, Sting, and Darby versus Bullet Club.
Oh yeah. That match they forced Shingo into. Yeah. Because it was meant to be Hiromu, wasn't it? Hiromu got injured.
It's supposed to be Hiromu and Shingo against Hikale, and then on the Bullet Club team, it was supposed to be Hikaleo and ELP.
Yeah.
But then obviously they took Hikaleo out, and then it just became a trios match.
Yeah. Cool. So it's got the internet talking. Should be a good match, and it's the occasion is going to be a great one. It seems like they've sold the majority of the tickets for that event.
Yeah. So finally a packed arena.
Yeah. Bro, don't let this internet fool you. I'm sure the AEW been having packed arenas, but people are awkward pictures just to try to shame them or whatever. But it's this particular Revolution. It seems like the energy around it is that we done World's End, but it's like Revolution is obviously one of their marquees from day one anyway.
Yeah.
Now we can like almost anoint it with the fact that this absolute legend is retiring here. Yeah. People are really coming in their droves. Like, I want to see him wrestle this last time. So,
you know what it feels like? Yeah, obviously last year they added a lot more pay-per-views, but this year now it feels like, how WWE have their big four. AEW was kind of the original pay-per-views we had are kind of what it remains to be seen, but at least with Revolution, they're kind of anointing, like you said, they're anointing it as this is one of the big ones. Like this is one of the bigger shows we're doing, and maybe I don't know, and I like the fact that we're getting a break because Revolution ain't till March, so I like the fact that we're kind of getting a breather, like a reset period and a breather.
It will be a test though, because we all know this historically has been the hardest period
Yeah.
in terms of interest, to keep interest. Once it gets to about mid-Feb, then we know we're on the road to Revolution. It picks up. Or once it
Yeah.
comes to February and January, it picks up. But I think it's this first kind of 4 to 5 weeks of the new year after
Yeah.
the end of last year. Obviously, before we never had World's End, it was just Winter is Coming, which was
Yeah.
often a big thing as well. So
Yeah.
then it's always been that stretch between Winter is Coming and Revolution that's been
Yeah.
painful. So hopefully they've kind of learned from that, and it looks like we're getting some good shows.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think this year is a bit easier because I think in previous times, when Kenny Omega won the title, he won it at Winter is Coming. When Hangman won the title, he won it at Full Gear. When MJF won the title, he won it at Full Gear, I believe. I
And
think when
MJF
MJF
won the title, Full Gear, yeah.
Full Gear. So there's been a much bigger where Samoa Joe's we've literally started the year with a new champion already, where a lot of those other champions were already a couple months into their 10 years champion. So it felt, by the time it got to that Revolution, I won't say it felt stale, but we were already used to them as champions. I think starting the new year off with a new, literally champion that was crowned on December 30th gives it buys AEW a bit of time. But I think February in particular is going to be the hard one. Because I think you can do. They've bought with this. They've got the hook match next week. It's dragging out we assume the Hangman Page, Swerve, and Samoa Joe match will be at Revolution. That dragging that out for what 2 months will be
It's
a
an
tough
ask.
task. Yeah, it'll be a tough task.
It's Jay White and MJF all over again.
We'll see.
Because that one, I mean, not in terms of how crap the booking was in the end, but I mean in terms of how early they started that program.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think maybe the cheat code in this sense is that there's 3 of them. It's not just going up against each other. There's 3 of them. So maybe one week, if someone's not even there, you might find a new combo to kind of go against each other, like Hangman and Joe. You might see some stuff between Swerve and Joe. Obviously, Hangman and Swerve we've seen in recent times. But yeah, it's good, man. I'm happy they got this show done out of the system. Like I said, for me, I don't know poo-poo it. It was absolutely fine. Good wrestling on it. Great beginning, great end, great middle with the Joe stuff. The tag matches in between just kind of took me out of it. Like just 8-man tag for what sort of thing. Like especially like we've said at the top of the show, if they were gonna do something like this, like tribute, give me the Dark Order. They're still together. Like that would have made more sense for me personally.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's going to be a running thing until she debuts somewhere. Mercedes. I think every week is going to be. This is the week Mercedes debuts, and we're never gonna know. Do you hold that off for Revolution?
Yes, I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about Deonna Purrazzo. I think it looks like they're going to do Deonna Purrazzo, Toni Storm. Maybe she beats some, people on the way there in between time. She can have like a feud with Mariah May, done with Mariah May, and then ascend to Toni Storm. Probably lose to Toni Storm at Revolution if that's what we're going to do, and then I probably debut Mercedes at Revolution. I think
because
the whole Sting thing. I know there might be a new champion there, but if it's the stage for it, isn't it? Like if they had that show, that is the stage to do something like that.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? And it's not their fault. It's their job to report news. But I think the dirt sheets are probably like making it a bit worse because they're saying every week this is the week she's debuting, and fans are going into the show thinking she'll debut here.
Yeah.
Where it's probably like you said, probably if she is gonna debut, you want to debut her on the biggest stage that you can do, which will be a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally believe that Revolution is the right stage to debut her. But if I'm hearing from the dirt sheets every week, this is the week, I'm like, brother, this is going to be an infuriating 2 months.
Yeah, literally. And I don't know if they're running any kind of, I'm sure they might have one of their themed shows or something like that in between somewhere. But yeah, I think Mercedes is somewhat maybe playing with the dirt sheets as well. I guess we can't negate there is probably still that 1% chance that she could turn up elsewhere than AEW. Yeah, so it's the cards are on the table, innit? It's
I'm Googling if there's a show in Boston.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If there's a show in Boston and they do like a CM Punk like angle where it's like, you know, something, I don't know, I may not be a boss, but I'm a CEO, and then announcing Dynamite in Boston.
Literally that.
Okay, like we know where
we know where it's happening.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, we gotta keep our eyes peeled, innit? We gotta wait and see. But overall, a good show, like I say, a good feel good show. Rest in peace, Brody Lee. Obviously, his stamp is still clearly on AEW and some of the talents there as well. This heating up. Next week we got Samoa Joe and Hook for the world title, which will be interesting. He's got more challenges in tow. The Undisputed Prophecy, you know, we'll see if that takes another step forward with Roderick Strong, like we're saying. And then this Young Bucks stuff, I'm sure we'll probably see them next week on the show. Maybe literally issuing the challenge out to Sting and Darby. Any last words before we finish, NK?
No, man. Just like, share, comment, and subscribe. Watch the content that we have on Wrestlings. We got a lot of different content for you, whether you're an AEW fan, WWE fan, or just a wrestling fan in general, man. We got a lot of content for you.
Yeah, definitely that. Again, this will be on the podcast audio feed. So if you want to check this out, check out obviously tomorrow the actual weekly podcast drops and the new weekly podcast, the WWE review and news show. It's all available there as well on WRESTHINGS. Get your Royal Rumble tickets as well if you haven't. Come do the watch party with us, and Basement Grooves as well. And yeah, we will be back same time next week. See you guys later.
See you, man.